All right, we're going to do the daily verse. We got Brandon's verse bag out. And I'm going to dig one out. I think there's some stuck together. Oh gosh. Let's see, this is Romans 4:20 and 21. No unbelief made himself waver. She writes in cursive. Cursive, people. And I love it. She has such pretty handwriting, but I am not used to reading in cursive. All right. No unbelief made him waver regarding promise of God, but the strength by the faith, and gave glory to God, being fully convinced that God had power to do what he had promised. Romans 4:20, 21. No unbelief made him waver regarding the promise of God. So this is Paul writing this, and is this not a letter that he wrote? No, that was after Romans.
While in prison?
No, I don't think this is in prison. Being fully convinced that God had the power to do what he promised. You know, when you think about promises, all the promises God has made to us.
But are we fully convinced that he'll do what he says he'll do? Are you fully convinced that when he says, I'll never leave you or forsake you?
Convinced and believe is the same thing. Convinced and do you believe it? So that also, it means trust. Do you believe and trust, and are you convinced that God is going to do what he says he's going to do, promise-wise? You know, and for a long time, I wasn't. My walk with the Lord was lukewarm. And the older I have gotten, you know, they say wisdom comes with age. Well, I forget everything, but one thing you think about the older you get is, you know, you are reaching close to the end, or closer to the end. Your days are a lot less. You know, I'm 55 years old, and I think about a year from now, 2 years from now. When I was 30 and 20, I didn't. I thought, I'm invincible. I can go, you know, another 50 or 60 years. And now I know I don't have that. So what do I really want to do while I'm here on this earth? And my priorities have changed over the last several years. I mean, I have wanted, I don't know exactly how to put this, but I've wanted to take myself out of the way and just do the will of the Lord. And I've made a ton of mistakes, even, you know, trying to do that. But I want to bring as many people to heaven with me as I can. Whether I know them or not, whether it's family members or a stranger that I meet at a gas station.
Well, it says, no unbelief made him waver regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened by the faith and gave glory to God. If y'all have heard any of our other our testimony or things like that, I think I've talked about, I held on to a promise for 10 years that God gave me about our son and him coming back to the Lord. And he had, you know, being in that agnostic, he just thought, you know, there's probably a God out there somewhere, but that just wasn't for him. But God showed me a vision of Shaden proclaiming the gospel and standing firm in his faith. And I held on to that for 10 years. And then my dad giving his life to the Lord 5 hours before he passed away with a massive heart attack. He wasn't he wasn't sick on his deathbed or anything. He was healthy. I mean, he was probably healthier than all of us, what we thought. He was never sick or anything, but gave his life to the Lord 5 hours before he died. So when it says, no unbelief made him waver regarding the promise of God, but strengthened by the faith, those two things, one took 10 years, and we prayed for Dad for, I don't know, 20, 30 years, I don't know.
Probably longer than that.
But those things strengthened my faith that God is going to do what he says he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
When we lay things at his feet, he says, give them to me. My burden is light. Here, take my yoke. Give me your burden, because my yoke is light, and I will take this from you. And that is what he does. And then it says, and gave glory to God. We have to give him the glory for the things he does.
You know, and she talked about prayed for 10 years. I mean, we all was doing that, you know, and I was begging God. Every night I would beg God to, you know, change the situation, because it started to seem like it was getting worse and worse. And I was losing like hope. You know, I was starting to think, hey, this really is not getting any better. It's getting worse, if anything. And you know, God's timing is not ours. Mm-hmm. You know, whether it takes a day or 10 years or 20 years, God knows exactly when to do it, what to do, and you know how he's going to go about doing it. So persistence, you know, even if you're praying the same prayer every single night, keep doing it. Keep being persistent.
Without ceasing.
Yes. And sometimes that's praying all day. You know, you can be at work, or you can be driving down the road, and I've praised God going down the road before. A good Christian song come on, and I'm sure people that seen me thought it was crazy, but still, don't give up on praying for somebody and having that faith that God is going to do what he says he's going to do. We never did find out how many promises is in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Kim Duncan, if you're watching this, you told me one time how many it was. So you need to let us know. I can't remember.
Comment that.
Yeah, comment how many promises is in the Bible. I just remember I was like, holy moly, I didn't realize there was that many. But do not fear. That's another one in the Bible. How many times it's in the Bible is unreal.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. So, anyway, I'm still trying to kick this cold. It seems to be better in my chest, and today my head feels like a cinder block, and I can't even hear.
Because it's got that toboggan on.
No, it's not that.
I'm just kidding.
So it's hard for me to concentrate right now. So, anyway, we love you guys, and you know, I'm so thankful Mary Ann took the time to do this. I know I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it 100 times more. We get just as much out of these verses as you guys do. Mm-hmm. So, we love you.